Hi everybody, my name is Adam Tipper, Managing Director of a company called Next Gen Makers. We'll tell you a bit more about what we do in a moment.
And I'm Emma from Maintec Recruitment. So we're specialist engineering and manufacturing recruiters here in the Midlands. And we're going to talk you through how to plug the skills gap today. So the overview, so what are we actually facing? We're short of 186 young engineers here in the UK. 19.5% of the engineers currently working in the UK are set to retire by 2026. So wages will have to increase to attract the best talent. What can we do about it? Adam?
Okay, so quick show of hands. How many are from companies that you feel are affected by the skill shortage? Okay, interesting, about half, 60%. How many of you have got an apprenticeship scheme, so you've grown your own engineers? Okay, pretty much
numbers, yeah.
Most of you. Yeah, that's what we're seeing a lot. A lot more companies now looking to establish and grow scale apprenticeship schemes as a direct result to counter the skill shortage and impacts on the business. So using existing skilled employees as mentors, passing on the skills to the next generation, upskilling current workforce through apprenticeship schemes as well.
Okay. Also encouraging more women into engineering. I'm asked about that all the time. So looking at part-time roles and increasing that foot flow of women coming into engineering too.
Okay, so a large part of what we do at Next Gen Makers is share best practice within a community of engineering and manufacturing companies from all over the UK regards to how to run successful apprenticeship schemes. And then we have a Kite Mark accreditation that recognises the best employers in the UK for engineering apprenticeships. Recent years, we've seen a lot of engineering and manufacturing companies look to set up or scale apprenticeship schemes to grow the next generation of engineers, but it's not going great for a vast majority. So hundreds of thousands of young engineers are quitting apprenticeship schemes every single year in the UK because of a poor experience in company. And there is actually quite a lot that goes into creating a great apprentice experience and a well-structured apprenticeship scheme. So if you're one of the companies that has got it right and it's working and retention is good, that is brilliant to hear. What we're trying to do is share best practice within a community of companies like you so others can learn to do the same. But it's actually been picked up in mainstream media in recent years. Thousands of engineering apprentices quitting. What isn't really talked about when we talk about the skill shortage is the sunk cost of a failed apprentice. So we've done a piece of research 2 years ago where we spoke to about 200 engineering and manufacturing companies that were looking at the sunk cost of a failed apprentice anywhere in between years 1 and 3, and it was circa 80 to 300k. So that is often a hidden cost. Average in our research was 2 out of every 5 apprentices being retained. So if we're 186,000 young engineers short every year, and most companies are looking at apprenticeship schemes to bridge the skills gap, we need to improve that success rate for retention because we're facing a lot of attrition at the moment. 95% of the companies that we benchmark within our community say that they believe they can improve the quality of experience they give to their apprentices within their scheme. So it's an important thing to get right.
Okay. So some of the common misconceptions that we come across is who actually can be an apprentice. I hear things from the side of the fence of trying to recruit skilled engineers. I don't want to babysit teenagers. My current team won't engage with the apprentices when they come on board because of the generational gaps. They haven't got enough time. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to train and how to deal with the apprentices on site, and they just generally need some help. So we kind of looked at who actually can be an apprentice. So it's not just school leavers, but anybody within your current workforce, new employees of any age, anybody that's eligible to work in the UK, and anybody over the age of 16. And obviously, Adam, you deal a lot with the cross-transferable skills and upskilling people on site as well as introducing sort of apprenticeships in. Have any of you guys come up with any issues like that where your current team won't engage, or have you found it quite successful in terms of your engineers and bringing people on? No?
Like nodding. Okay, so looking at the macro picture, we've got a big skill shortage in engineering in the UK. How do we solve that? Well, obviously we need a strong base of training providers, colleges, to train the next generation. But outside of that, we need more companies running well-structured apprenticeship schemes that ultimately are really good at attracting and retaining talent into them. Probably one of the things that we see affecting most engineering companies across the UK at the moment when it comes to attracting young early careers talent is employer brand awareness. Because if the company is not a Rolls-Royce or a JCB or a Jaguar Land Rover, for example, most people in society, in local schools, whether it be influencers of young people such as teachers, careers leaders, parents, or even the young people themselves might not have even heard about you. So it's employer brand awareness is one thing on the attraction piece that we need to help more engineering companies to address to create healthier talent pipelines of quality early careers talent that want to work for you. But outside of that, we need them then to be going into well-structured apprenticeship schemes that give them a good experience, the right kind of strategy and the why behind the apprenticeship scheme, the right kind of pro-apprenticeship culture within the business, the right mentors and the right development pathways within the business and beyond apprenticeships. All crucial, we hear from successful companies in helping to retain early careers talent.
So attracting the best talent within the business when you're looking at skilled people as well as apprentices. So we've looked with our hundreds and hundreds of clients that we've dealt with, kind of paying a fair salary and benefits is always at top of most people's priority when trying to attract people in. Creating new talent pools. So somebody that you interview this week that hasn't got the skills for the job right now may be an employee of yours in 2 or 3 years' time when they do have those skills. So making sure that your recruitment process is really robust, you're delivering really good feedback to those people and ensuring that they will return to you and not destroying your employer brand while recruiting is really, really important. Having short but really effective interview processes with constructive feedback will always help. And prioritising your culture. You can teach the skill. If they're 70%, 80% of the way there, but they've got all of the right attitudes and all of the right skills, ask yourself, why aren't we employing this person? Is there somebody within the business that we can put them with and train that skill? You can't teach them to want to do the job. If you are going to go out to recruiters, use a reputable recruiter who will protect your brand and ensure that robust process, the feedback is delivered and they're protecting your brand as well. So we hear it a lot especially with the Gen Zs, that they want a work-life balance. And all I hear from my manufacturers is we just can't offer it. We can't offer flexible working. And let's be honest, if you've got a production team, you absolutely, if you're on shifts, you can't offer a later start or an earlier finish. It's impossible. However, there are things that you can think about and that I see working in practical use. A lot of our retired engineers don't actually want to retire from the business, but there aren't part-time roles out there available for them. So we have a few that will do a 2-on, 6-off shift pattern, and they'll job share. So we'll have 2 engineers that are retiring that know the plant inside out, that absolutely love working there, and they'll split. So rather than doing a 4-on, 4-off or a Panama shift, they'll split the shift patterns between them. Something to think about. Again, we've spoke about trying to attract women into engineering. Most women still are the homemakers and still have to have the children. So again, we'll look at part-time working and we'll go on to that in a bit. So again, having that split shift patterns and job sharing is a great way to bring obviously working parents into the business. Buy and sell holiday schemes. You'll always have your engineers or your manufacturers, your manufacturing teams at the end of the year that haven't used all of the holiday, and you'll always want the ones. I've got a few of my team that want more holiday. So again, can you bridge the gaps there? And that's giving a work-life balance is an opportunity in manufacturing. You just have to look outside the box a little bit.
Okay, so a large part of the research that we've done has looked at apprentice satisfaction, but a lot of the stuff that we've uncovered within that you'll see on the screen behind me in terms of the drivers behind what creates a great experience is actually relevant to the organisation-wide and the workforce as a whole. Our world is specifically engineering apprenticeships. It's good to get the perspective of Emma because it's a very similar world that we operate in when it comes to the skill shortage. But our research, as I say, is specifically about apprentices, and these are, unsurprisingly, the factors that they say make the best quality of apprentice experience. That's what they look for from employers. If we compare that to the data that we've got from benchmarking engineering apprenticeship schemes across hundreds of companies nationwide, it's amazing the amount of employers that we see that don't value or don't communicate on each of these levels. So clearly they're falling short in some element of delivering on the apprentice's expectations or the employee's expectations. But with best practice sharing and a commitment to continuous improvement of an apprenticeship scheme, we quite commonly see companies turn that around, probably within less than 12 to 18 months, to the point where they're creating a much better, richer apprentice experience.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say from a skilled worker's point of view as well, actually just sometimes the recognition, just making sure that that was a really good job, well done, goes just a really, really long way. So, are there any questions?
At the back.
What would you say the number one thing to consider when looking to bring on either an apprentice or a skilled worker?
I didn't get all of that, sorry.
Sorry, what would you say is the number one thing to consider in a person when bringing on either an apprentice or a skilled worker in general?
I think I always lead on culture. So you guys know your business and your teams better than anybody else. So understanding who's going to fit within that team, like I said earlier, training that skill set. If they're 70, 80% of the way there, training that skill set as opposed to finding somebody that's perfect that may come in and disrupt the team is always really, really important. It's a two-way street now with recruitment, kind of looking at your processes and your procedure. They've got to buy you as a business, whether it's an apprentice or a skilled worker. They've got to buy you as a business and want to work for you as much as you want them to work for them. So I think that answers the question.
Yeah, next one.
At times we've struggled with our apprenticeship providers, so actually finding colleges that can provide what we need and also provide a good experience for our apprentices. Is that something that other people are seeing? And also, are the courses moving with the pace of the technology that we're seeing at the moment?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a ticking time bomb, really. It's skilled, and if it's hard for you guys as an industry to recruit skilled engineers, imagine how hard it is for colleges and training providers. We have instances where some apprentices in the third year are getting paid more than some of their tutors. You know, it's very hard for colleges, training providers to attract talent unless it's somebody who's near the end of their career and really wanting to give back and doing it for that particular reason. So that is a ticking time bomb. But equally, there are a lot of challenges that training providers are under. So hugely essential to this ecosystem of solving the skill shortage, because we need high quality employers, we need more young people in a society that is pro apprenticeship, pro engineering, but then we need high quality training providers as well. To answer your question, yeah, it's a national thing, it's a national challenge. There are some areas of the UK where we've heard companies can't even find a training provider that offers courses that is suitable to them. There are other areas of the UK where it's the choice is quite wealthy in training provision, so there's a lot of disparity. What doesn't help colleges and FE training providers, private training providers, is funding rules, regulations changing year on year, over bureaucratic system from government. There's a lot of training providers that are under the cosh from there's a lot of pressure added onto them when it doesn't really need to be, and that's coming from government. So organisations like Ingenuity and Make UK, Engineering UK are doing a lot of really good work to sort of lobby government to try and change that, as well as trying to change perceptions about the prospects within industry about engineering tutors as a career. We look at the levy, the apprenticeship levy. Why can we not take some of the £500 million that is unspent from levy every year and subsidise training providers to be able to recruit, subsidise the wages of tutors? I think we need to look outside the box, don't we, in terms of supporting training providers. But 100% what we need to do is ensure that colleges, training providers are really employer-led. So a lot of them now are establishing employer boards where they want to be led by employers in engineering and advanced manufacturing in their local area. So if you have a college that is like that and is trying to open their doors to employers, please, please, please embrace it, because that is the only way that their syllabus is, their curriculum is going to start getting more aligned to what you want from them as employers, is by you telling them and engaging with them.
Any other questions?
On your studies, did you take into account the geographical mobility? For example, from going...
Sorry, I can't hear you, sorry.
And the studies that you have done, have you taken into account the geographical mobility of people going from different zones? Is that something that happens or currently is not happening?
So for apprentices, they generally stay more local, but we certainly see from a skilled workers perspective that for the right roles, people will relocate, will move, will certainly do. Will travel further distances. And again, as an employer, sometimes you need to be open to that of, if somebody is going to relocate, what do we put in place for that person to settle in, not only to settle into the team, but settle in lifestyle-wise as well.
Is that something that is happening now? Employers that they are helping already for their relocations on the...
It's very mixed. So the employers that we deal with, some are really open. They'll look at sort of visa sponsorship if they're coming in from abroad. Some will look at like relocation packages and that kind of thing. But it's still very, very mixed. Again, it kind of comes back to attracting the best talent in. Sometimes you've just got to look outside the box. Yeah.
Just to add to that as well, I think from an apprenticeship perspective, migration of talent, if we look 30, 40 years ago at supply chains, you'll have the likes of, well, around here, you'd have people like MG Rover and GKN, huge apprenticeship schemes, overtraining policies, training more than they need, so that those apprentices will go out into supply chains, into other companies that really desperately need them. And a lot of owner-managers now of SME engineering companies were Rover apprentices, were GKN apprentices, etc., etc. We don't really have that anymore because of decades and decades of sort of, I don't know, government change around apprenticeships and the narrative around them in society. But it'd be great. I know there's a lot of work in combined authorities across the UK to try and re-incentivise and reactivate that overtraining model, because it really does help to cross-pollinate. What we don't want is the opposite, where you have a big fish stealing apprentice-trained individuals from SMEs, and that is happening right now. I won't go into that because it's soapbox territory, but yeah, we don't want that. We want the overtraining model back in the UK.
Any other questions? No. We are on stand K40, so if there are any questions afterwards and you want to pop down and pick our brains on anything, feel free to. I really appreciate you all attending today.